So today we are going to go over my story on my myths. Keep in mind these were just stories that I did actually witness or end up being part of. Um, just heads up. So keep in mind when you see me change characters, I'm switching to that story rather, or I'm just swapping the character because it's who happens to be in that story. So I'll start with the easiest story I can talk about, which is how did my life went from healer and tank to just straight up DPS or hitter, the attacker in Wizard 1's case. On Wizard 1 terms, we call it attacker pretty much, who is basically in the last spot pretty much. Well, let's just say it started in Catacombs in the level 130 area. So you could probably say 40 levels beforewards, I was just a healer and stuff. Let's just say, normally, I know some people say, like, it's a better idea to have two healers. But in the case that I went through, it would have been a lot better idea if there was three hitters. Because this was with the life and death boss being in the same room. The past one and the today one. Let's just say the fire and the storm had idea like making two supports being healers, and it's not that the life being healers is the problem, it's the resistance they had was the problem. And you could probably say their resistance was bad if I'm talking about it in the negative light. And yeah, that's the case pretty much, because no matter what I did and how many times I tried to heal on this character at that time, they just kept dying and dying, and basically everyone gave up pretty much. I gave up being a healer on life ever since pretty much, so it's kind of why my old life is a hitter pretty much. My new life, I'm learning to be more of a healer pretty much. And unlike the old account, this account where I'm more of a hitter later on pretty much stuff on life, the new account I'm just mostly doing healing stuff. And what gave me the hint that I wasn't supposed to be a healer on this character was due to the side schools I end up with, which is Death and Ice. And some people be surprised I said that. Because I'm a myth main, so I go based on chronology I had on this account. Mostly. The new account I don't do it as much because I had to like learn to go with their just normal roles and stuff. On this account I'd rather just keep the same, like what I did. Because some of my characters' identities would have been removed if I went to what their school's original role was, pretty much. Which is, I don't think anyone's going to understand that until they are in my position themselves, pretty much. That's basically just, yeah, that's what it is. Other than that, I went from being the mostly healer to just straight up hitting the entire time. And even though I do have heals every now and then, most of the time is to keep myself alive because I know that a good hitter has to be alive. I know that's what the term usually used for healers, like you can't be healing if you're constantly dying. So you have to keep yourself alive so you can keep others alive. Basically what it is, pretty much. And that's just my life story. Went from healer to hitter. Next, I'm going to explain the story, and believe it or not, this is not her. He is one of the few trans characters I got, pretty much. It used to be by the name Destiny, and trust me, it just felt normal, being correct by changing this one to male, because it kind of feels make more sense a bit. And plus, look at how horrible this one looks, despite the fact some people might confuse, like, why is this character good at what was confusing with the shadow hat and stuff, along with, like, New Year dress and New Year boots. So I kind of figured, and the funny part is the name I had before was worse than the name I went with now, pretty much, which was Destiny Windshield. Yes, cars. Cars. I'm not joking. Cars. Like, you expect me to keep a name like that? Windshield? No, absolutely not. Next is my ice. How did this one, who is max right now, at the moment, the only max one right now I have, end up being the worst tank? Being the worst ice for tanking, pretty much. Well, it started with, like, how ice is supposed to normally discover what they can tank. Let's just say this ice was miserable and terrible at that role. So I had to put this ice in a support role for the time being. I will eventually maybe change it to hitter, but even then her damage isn't great. But it's better than what some people had damage of these days, you know, sometimes. This one's about like 170 or 168 for damage, which is not bad. This one I think is about like 181 or 84, 184. And this is just right now not my max yet. This is my max your hand. I plan to have a different outfit when I get other gear, eventually when I choose to farm again on this account. So yeah, you won't see this like ballet dress forever. Her lore is basically she was born in a ice era, then she happens to be raised by storm parents due to like the fact that she was abandoned when she was a baby. She was raised with 12 brothers, believe it or not, 12 brothers. And funny part is, she was the only human. The others were werewolves. And yes, the parents were werewolves as well. And she eventually learned to adapt to like learning spells because all they know how to do is storm and balance. So they had like almost no protection at all. So she figured to learn stuff and found she was actually supposed to be an ice student. Basically, that's basically how this character came to develop. But the problem was that she was learning ice in the wrong way to where she sucked at tanking. Yeah. Nino was raised in a was born and raised in a shadow realm. And unlike most shadows, this one was originally in the shadows. Then it learned the magic of how to be human and turns into a human, basically. And he was a she at the time, but later on he developed like learn how to like keep others alive while protecting others with shields. But at the same time, he also learned how to like he prep himself up to like do a lot of damage. That's basically how my character happened to be developed. My fire, her name is Emily Color Dancer. Don't worry, this one's not trans. I just happen to choose this outfit. Give me a sec, I'm going to do some gardening, and while I do that, I'll explain each character's lore as I do gardening, pretty much. Unfortunately, kids might have membership now, so yeah, this is gonna go bye-bye. Give it a sec. This is my fire, by the way. How my fire, Emily Color Dancer have come along. She was born and raised in a dancers club. Yes, you heard that right. A dancers club. She had no idea how much power she had until the moment she had to defend the club from evil bad guys. Or ambush gangs, pretty much. And she started to become a protector in some way, and a lot of people were surprised that her squad was be fire. Because most people usually protect over ice, but this one was fire. But she knew the risk about being a protector, but she knew it was to do it for the right reason. So she became a tank and protect her crew in the club from any bad guys. And she was also then there's also another story about her that I actually have experienced. So, and this is going to actually be more of a positive story because I think some of you deserve a positive ending. Just a little bit. Back when my fire was only level 100, believe it or not, my fire carried 2 fires and a balance by being the healer and tank me being a healer. So you could probably assume that I'm doing my fire wrong. But this is based on my fire's identity as well, because it turned out that my fire would have been a great at keeping people alive. Despite the fact that it could have been, this character should have been life, but happens to be healer as a fire. She's basically jack of all trades, but on fire. And you'd be surprised of how much I'm proud of this character, because I haven't really had much of a spotlight of being a healer and a prepper while tanking, while also hitting. Because my characters are either just preppers or they're hitters. They just never really been a mixture of schools and stuff. This character just happens to be a mix of all 3. And 4 roles. Sorry, not 3, 4. Give me a sec. So if you want to see what reason why I said she's perfect for her role was, it's because give me a sec. I'm going to show you. This is our tank your hand. I know there's no accuracy and there's only 3 fire damage, but and this is the 3 damage is just from my mount. Don't worry about it. At 71 resistance, I know you're surprised that a fire of mine is doing this. And yes, the Cyclops B balance. The crit block is just 200 across the board, but that's just not surprised with the gear I got. Because that wasn't really my main focus. Healing inbound and outbound, here they are. Incoming and outgoing, basically. 54% incoming, 58% outgoing. So, and how I got this is basically just keeping my stats straight up, pretty much, to the brim. So I got my 5% and 6% from the Jade Hood of Mystery. I got my Ingo and outgoing 5% from the boots, which is Snow Drifter shoes. Then my Ingo and outgoing mostly came from 2 Pacific gear that I know most people are not willing to do, but if they're willing to do a lot of healing, they have to grab it, which is they have to craft it, I think. And then my 8% happens to be outgoing, happens to be from my pet, and the 1% happens to be from my deck. So this is basically, you have to craft these. These are basically what I would say is you need to craft. If I gotta be honest, if you really want a lot of healing, This is basically the gear you need, and I know you guys are surprised that my fire is holding these gears alone. And you guys are surprised I don't give it to my fire over my life. I know a lot of people are surprised by it, but to me, not that surprising. And that's because, if it gets the job done, and I don't really have much tanks that aren't deaf, I only have like 2 other tank characters, with one of them might have to actually switch to support role, leaving my other character to either a tank or attack role, which is my ice is the one likely going to be switched around along with my myth. I'll get to my myth eventually when we get there. Okay, so keep that in mind. So if you're wondering how I got my crit block, it's basically just from the robe I got, which is most of it from my robe, which is Cosmo Rather Tunic, which I know some of you are surprised I went with that robe. But I'm not surprised because I really needed a tank here anyways. And then for just the typical version, there's just from specific stuff, which is one of them being from my wand, which is Mandu's Sword of Heroes, and then my necklace that I use for the tanking stuff. If it's not obvious enough, it's from that pack, pretty much. Some of these gear you can get pretty much without getting from the crowns. Some you'll have to get crowns, and some you won't. So, gold pips, 91, this is not the 100% thing, but I am going with it. So, 6% is from the hat, 13% from the robe, and then the 16% are from the ones I crafted with. The shadow rating, pip ratings happen to be the 21 happens to be from the tunic, 11 from the boots, and then the wand happens to be the 16. And then there's nothing added to the arch. So you can probably guess the rest of my gear happens to be this. So with that being 22 is from the hat, which is obvious because not very many hats actually have that much resistance. 19 from the tunic, which is, I know some of you be surprised like I said that, but I really need a crit block because I wouldn't really survive without it, so I needed the rope anyways. The boots, it's something I could have worked on, but right now it's pretty much a good boots at the moment. Then of course the necklace has 7, and my pet that I equipped happens to have 10%. And with that being my Rotting Dryad, which is, you wondering why I kept this pet? It's because of this final spell right here. So basically, pretty much. And I got that spell proof. This one you don't need the crown pack, you just need gold for it. Sacrifice is just, in case mind, this is just optional for a pet. But for a healer pet, I would say I would recommend, like, for the character that has an AoE heal for a spell. Either that or a pet that has at least Maycast Unicorn. It doesn't have to be a Dryad pet, it just has to be a pet that is willing to give you Unicorn Maycast. It doesn't have to be Pixie, but I know some players will say they wanted it. But you don't have to exactly get it. And yeah, there's the, which is, yeah, it's not bad because I needed it anyways. Then I got the self-healing, which is sadly, unfortunately, that's like, but it's, but I mean, to be fair, I need to be alive, so it's kind of fair. And then shields, which is, are put on myself, pretty much. That's just my tank set. I think I'll just go with like talking about my gear in general, rather. And show you how surprising you guys should be that I'm getting pretty much better at the game slowly, but just not at the fast pace. My attack area hand, keep in mind, my fire is actually a tank, so if you're going to expect a lot of things, it's going to be going to have more resistance than usual. So this is where I'm at my stats, keep in mind. I'm a tank on my route. I mean, the route my fire happens to be in. This is the old account. The new account, I wouldn't even be tanking, because I wouldn't be allowed to. This is just the old account. This is my most lucky character I got. Believe it or not, most lucky, because I haven't run into fails until I ran into this. Which is no surprise, because I was trying to turn this into a life attack pet, just in case, pretty much. Like, I'm trying to do a few things here. I'm gonna go train pet while do this, so pretty much, yeah. I mean, we can go on hours about each stats of my gear on each character I go on. I'll save my death character for last, mainly because it has the longest gardening I got. And he is the most normal character I got, so I'm rather save the most normal for last. So, here's my damage. Universally, just 31 with bounce being 34 due to my pet, pretty much. But I didn't really care about the fact that I go with balance damage, had balance damage as well, because who cares? And two, if I balance damage by fire damage, who cares? Plus, that's mainly my main side school. Balance is, surprisingly, if you don't believe me. Life is just the other side school I happen to have. By the second time I tried, my fire damage is honestly from the gear I have, and you guys are surprised, how did I get 55 resistance of fire? Here's why, it's a tank, so therefore there are gonna be a lot of resistance. So if you can look right here, you're more welcome to pause, but about 10 of my resistance happen to come from helmet I have. 14 happens to be from the robe. 11 from the boots. 5 from the totem. And then 15 from my pet. So my crit is about 630, which is not too bad for a fire. But especially good for a tank fire, by the way. Sadly, I don't have life crit, but who cares? Crit block is about 468, which is normal for a fire, so you can't really expect fire to get a lot of crit block anyways. 23 piercing's not too bad for a fire. Keep in mind, piercing's not usually my luckiest area, because despite the fact that I'm a myth main. That's just due to just usually what my pet gets. And then my healing outgoing is just from the ring and I'm not sure what it wins, but I'll get there. And then you can probably guess. So yeah, I have a 100% for fire, by the way. Fifth conversion. For other schools, I mean, yeah, I focused way too much on that. I might need to limit that down. If you see the numbers, if you add that up, it's actually 1,000. It's not 107. Then my gold pip chance is about 100% for sure. So yeah, I wasn't really lucky to get gear. I mean, I can't really get the gear I need because for the 170 is because, well, it's behind a team required thing where you have to communicate the entire time. which is something no one in my family, not even myself, is willing to do, despite the fact usually I'm willing to do something. So yeah, I never tried the dungeons, kind of like I never have the proper gear for 170. But to be fair, it wouldn't really make sense anyways. Um, there's the boots I got. Yeah, these are just from Crown Packs. Some of these are. And yes, I'm kind of working on balance slowly because that's my side school. And I'm hoping to eventually get damage for balance on my fire. Because I'm willing to use balance when I need to. When fire, it's not working. Yeah, you could probably say my hat, robe, and boots are the same thing. Or kind of. So, yeah. You can see that that just happens to be what it is. And I think the most important question is how do I set mine up though? Sadly, I don't really have a 170 ring, but I don't really care about that one because, it's life. Who cares? You know? And then there's my deck. I think a lot of you would be surprised I picked that decision. And here's my pet. Happens to also be a dryad. I'm planning to turn this and this into specific school pets, so. This being my prepper pet, since I already got a healer pet. And this one being my life attack pet. So, and you're wondering, how's my deck handled on each set? The only time I have two sets is when I'm tank. Or in a special occasion of basically support. Not if it's a normal occasion like just a prepper. Preppers is probably the easiest thing you can do, personally. I don't really care about it. So, here's my deck for my life, my heal set, which is tank slash healer. So yes, you're seeing this right. That is a lot of spells. And that's basically how I managed to be able to keep people alive. I trained, I tried, and trained, and tried. And yes, I did eventually grab a feint because, well, I got to keep everything, keep things going, so yeah. I got no train points at the moment, so. So you can probably guess for my balance, it is not that far. You haven't really gotten the idea yet. And that yes, in the TC form your hand have a lot of unicorns. A couple of like other things here and there. I don't really pack in balance blades and stuff because, well, I'm not balanced, guarantee that. Yeah, that just, if you need if you need to check my deck for about another minute, I'll stay right here. So you can pause. Just pause. Okay. When you're done pausing, when you're done reading all the, or seeing what I have my spells, let's move on. So, now we're on to my attack set, which is, it's going to be a lot different, but keep in mind, who I had to carry on my fire is a lot different. So, you could probably guess that my attack set is a lot different. Well, yes, there's the same amount of heals, but you can tell the huge difference I got on attack set versus a heal set. With me being tank and a prepper and a healer, all in one go, I have to carry things around, pretty much. Couple of feints, couple of like spiritual metal blades. And every now and then having low nights and stuff. And you're wondering, why do you pack the most random hits with one of each, most of it? It's how I roll and it's how to get the job done, if that's not explained enough. Wait, what does time card? Oh yeah. Okay, and I might need to... There we go. Now my deck is complete. Now, before we get we can't do the daily, so all we can do is pet train. So yes, you guys get to see me pet train for the first time in a while, and I'm happy that at least you guys get to see me do stuff randomly. Well, I'll get this character to the pet train, and then I'll train it myself off reporting. Train the pets myself. Yes, I'm explaining everything to you guys because I want to make sure you guys understand my character, but I also have a little bit of understanding like how that it also teaches like you don't have to always go with like the same thing based on your school. You just have to go with what your gut says or what you go by. You know? And with me being an interesting person, I'd rather be interesting than be boring. So I'm leaving my fire here. Next, let's go to not life yet, not ice yet, because I already explained Dorlor. So next, I'll just explain my lowest level at the moment, which is 143. Who is right now in Caramel. That's my Storm. And yes, you're gonna be surprised by what this character is. It's a prepper and a healer, but just a support, pretty much. No, not a tank, because what should a Storm be tank if you're not having one specific school there? Like, that'll make no sense. We'll take one character over here, and here's the one, this is a lot different character than, here's mine, with me not being a tank on this character, but rather I had to juggle multiple roles, I had to have two sets. Because if it's just one role, that's fine. And you don't really need to like juggle a lot. If it's if it's like you're just straight up tanking, you don't really need much of a set, or pretty much. Keep my storm right here. Next, I can go garden. Don't worry, when I come back on this character again, I'll be at the pet pavilion, so don't worry about it. So yes, this is my storm's house in your hand. Lovely tour, ain't it? And yes, all mine became spirits and crying and lappy was after. The end. This is my storm's stats at the moment. And yes, its side school is mainly death. Yeah, I know some people are surprised that my storm happens to be this way. I'm just doing me, you know. If you want to criticize me on why I chose to be do this way, go ahead. But trust me, it's not gonna change my mind on how I train my character, deal with my characters. You can't really change somebody's opinion based on like just what you personally believe. Sometimes, if it's professionally making the route suffer too much, or making your runs suffer too much, then that's when you should like change your option, which is none of my characters had to suffer so much. Well, excluding my life, who had to switch from healer to hitter. Other than that, I don't really have any like truly suffering characters. Well, my eyes did struggle tanking, so you could probably say my eyes did technically swap roles. I know I'm yapping on a lot, but look, whatever keeps you guys enjoying this game, whatever helps. You know? Now, let's go over my stats now since I already got that done. And I think I'm at the Pet Pavilion, and I might need to charge my laptop, so give me a sec. Okay, I'm back. So here's my stats on my attack set. So yeah, it's not a lot different. I know some of you are surprised though that most of my damage are not coming from my pet. That's because I care more about the crit due to the fact that one of the schools that requires more crits than damage. Here's why, this is just what I believe. It's not what everyone believes, it's just how I believe. If everyone believes one thing, it's gonna be a fact, not a truth. This is just a truth to me, it's not a fact, because some people can get around with so much damage. So, basically, I only got 3 damage from my pet, which is I put a gem on this pet, so I didn't care about, like, bringing it again, because, well, what's the point when you're doing fine, you know? Like, there's a huge difference between, like, just me. Sorry about that. I usually drink pop, so I kind of get burpy a lot. Um, so what's the surprising part is my resistance, which it should be self-explanatory a bit due to like if you check see what else is on there. And yes, I'm still wearing my darker robe. Loud and proud. Storms. One thing y'all should be proud of me of is having that. And this is when most of my pet's crits happen to work well for me. So I got 574 crits for Storm, which is not doesn't sound like a lot for my level, but trust me, it is a lot this early. So because most of the time you just gaining damage pets normally, and normally your schools are based on damage and crit, but more damage rate. Now crit block that's just a normal thing for ice half the time. So don't be surprised, and don't be surprised about me saying that my piercing is not the best on this character. That's just a normal thing I get. And yes, and yeah, I got that, I think, at some point. Typical version, though, is not even, well, it's not questionable, but just, kind of just there. My gold pip is exactly 100%, so I'm not going to even fail at gold pip. Then there's shadow pip rating, and then, yes, this is one of the few times I got that. So, if you need to check my gear this time on my storm, I'm going to show you my attack before my heal set. This is my hat. This is my robe. This is my boots. This is my wand at the moment. This is my theme. This is my final character who goes with it. I'll get a better theme basically, which is 150 eventually. This is my amulet. Yeah, that was pretty bad. This is my ring, pretty much. And then this is my deck. And then here's my pet. Yes, I got make us healing current, but with what I'm dealing with on this character, I don't really care, you know? Who cares? And yes, did put in socket gem for damage a little bit because I need a little bit of damage, and I come on. So basically, um, what's next is my support set. Not, yes, it says healer, but doesn't mean it is gonna be the word healer. It just means, and yes, his hand is too short. Don't be surprised by that. My hand was a lot more than this. Give me a second, I can fix my hand under Jeff D. And who my group is basically just elemental, so yeah, I don't have spiritual blades or elemental traps yet. Trying to get the elemental traps next. Because I'm basically being a prepper and a healer. And it's by default pretty much because normally ice and fire are different, basically. And how some my family is towards like learning something new versus me, yeah, it's not surprising. I wish the old thing came back because I would have loved to be able to heal a lot more. And I would love for someone to actually be able to finally experience hope, what hope looks like. Because I know a lot of people are going like, Storm is just some type of preppy weppy and they're just no good for heals. There are cases where Storm is absolutely needed. Just not at the moment. Pretty much. It doesn't mean it doesn't deserve love, but just non-consideration pretty much at the moment. And yes, this is my deck. I usually have a lot more than that. My deck, though, should explain, like, what I do. Half it says heals, your half is prep. I mean, most of it's heals, and then there's some preps. Pretty much. I'm trying to save healing current so I can do a lot more healing with it, so it's kind of why it's kind of like that a little bit. So yeah. My stats, though, it's not ideal, but it keeps in mind it's the best I got with what gear I happen to work with. It's not exactly for sunshines and rainbows, but it's just better than what some people do with the heal set. Pretty much. So let's start with this side, actually, rather. And yes, my crit is kind of bad, but this is a support set, so my set ain't gonna be a bright spot right now. And normally crits are not really that important if you do a heal set, but in this case I had to. Crit block is about 152 across the board, which is, it's alright-ish, but I might eventually change it. My piercing, of course this is not my hit set, so piercing ain't gonna matter. This is the number that does matter a bit. Which is, healing alcohol means I'm not going to be able to heal myself much. But I'm going to be able to heal others a lot higher. Yeah, so okay, first gems area it's 78%, which is, not really that very much. This is just a resistance based on the gear I got, pretty much. I know you're expecting this to be more of a tank gear, but it's a support set, not a tank set base. This isn't a tank storm, otherwise you'd be seeing the resistance a lot higher, pretty much. And my accuracy is about 11, so it means I would have perfect accuracy on healing for life, but not other schools. Now, let me introduce you my heal set in your hand, and let me show you. And yes, this would have been for next 150, so. Anyways, this is my deck. Yes, I'm using my Azteca deck. And you're wondering, why am I using this over the higher school deck? Higher level deck. Would you want to have the extra mean pip? I would if they're willing to give more healing to the decks. But instead they kind of give like conversions and stuff, so yeah, they don't matter to me. As much as I would love to say it matters, it don't to me. Keep conversions are not what I care about exactly. So yes, unfortunately this doesn't have Big Catch Unicorn. But it is a pretty decent heal pet I got. Which is where some of my gold pet has come from, pretty much, surprisingly. This pet, pretty much. The Storm Dryad. And yes, my other pet is the most normal pet I've gotten for Storm, so. Yeah, Mick has Legion Shield, which is pretty good if you think about it, because most of the time, if you're the only one doing both roles, who has time to shield? This ain't gonna have time. The hitter's not gonna have time, so you might as well have the make cast yourself. I have the current, which is a common theme for my characters. Make cast fairy, which is rare to me because I don't get that most of the time, by the way. I most of the time get hearing current or make cast unicorn. And then something that I was only able to get because I went to breed it with somebody and it got me that make cast pretty much. Which is something that is pretty rare. Which is something to do with like resurrection or something like that. Which is I don't get the spell, but I think some of you ought to explain me in the comments. And of course, the socket happens to be faint. You know, go figures, right? This is my ring. Yes, it sucks, but I don't have a better ring. I didn't craft it again, so if I did craft it, it would have been a lot better heals. Which is I can't craft at the but I can craft. Just I'm stubborn right now. I'm way too stubborn to do it right now. This is my amulet, which is not bad because there are fucking stats on it. This, yes, you heard that right. This is literally the thing I used for the hillside. One of the worst things you guys ever seen, because like it's just 5 resistance, which is keep in mind this is the only thing with resistance, the only item with resistance, and unfortunately it doesn't give you any value for gold pip or anything. And I don't really care if it decreases my number by a huge number. If it's a focus on heals, sure, I'll eventually work on it. But right now, at the moment, no. This is my wand, which is different. It'll be a lot different when you see a different character. Yes, I got the Mander's Sword of Legends, and keep in mind, you're looking for a specific one. So if you're just looking for just a heal one, then you gotta look for something that doesn't have weights. This one is the one I was looking for because all my gear was mostly have heals, so I needed some preps. So that's what I got. These are not exactly the ideal boots, and yes, quite frankly, not the greatest boots. But hey, if it saves me a lot from wasting more crowns, more crowns, then go figure, or save it up. And yes, I got the Jade Robe. Yes, I gave it to this character of all things. Well, because this character needs to survive while healing. Keep that in mind. And prepping. Keep that in mind. And it's the only reason this world isn't thrown in the trash. Because, well, this character needed somewhat way to have good healing stuff. So, and then this hat, of course, not ideal, but it gives me accuracy, crit, and some healing stuff. I also like it down in case the minions are willing to listen. So I get to like this happen pretty much. So yeah, that's basically that's just my gear. That's it. And yes, right now I would have to train this pet at the moment. So I know this is becoming a 50-minute video. But look, you might as well check the stats if you want to like stay along pretty much. This is my second to lowest. My death and my myth are not far apart levels though. By just 2 levels. This is basically the only tank I kind of like consider like seeing if it's willing to be swap roles, but to be fair, would it be a good idea? No. But is it going will it help people? Yeah. It might help in some way because this character isn't like the best at its role. So, yeah. Kind of, in case I haven't been on these characters sometimes, so the guarding is gonna get overdue pretty much. Give me a sec. While I go guard everything, this is my worst damage overall character, by the way. Yes, it isn't so bad that when I'm done with this pet, for a life damage pet, I am redoing my myth pet. And right now I'm letting you see the stats so you can see how bad it is right now. May cast Unicorn and May cast Tower Shield. Those are the two things I do not need on attack pet. Well, Tower Shield, sure, but definitely not May cast Unicorn. Like, if it's like some, like, there's emergency heal you need, then sure, I guess. But the route of running on this character, though, isn't even that bad. Like, yeah, I kind of question myself in there. I don't know why. And your other part of it, I don't know why. And this character will be around while it's at it, so, yeah. Now I'm ready. I'm now blanking, not blanking, I'm planting huckleberries. Hey guys, why not? They're gonna take a slower time in getting on, which means I don't do medium or big plants on this character, I just do small, so some of these will be in the share bank eventually. Just not right now. So yeah, might be getting you guys bored, but hey, at least we're talking and stuff. Now, if you're ready to see my stats on my myth, okay, here we go. My damage is right here. You can thank mostly my pet for this. I do have some good gear, but my pet is the only reason my damage isn't like up to par a bit. As much as I don't want to blame my pet, but I can't really like deny the fact my pet isn't really helping me much. And yes, I actually was able to put some gems on this one to where I have some damage for my side school, which is at this point I would need at this point with the fact that I'm kind of failing at myth damage. This is this is just as normal of a roll I can get for basically a normal myth. Not exactly the entirely normal, but just as normal as you get for a myth, which is a lot of resistance. Which is, a lot of people go like, myth aren't really known for that. And they actually are known for it, it's just a lot of people don't want to remember that, and they'd rather see death be the tank. Despite the fact death at the start don't get any for resistance until a certain amount of time. And even if they do get resistance, it's usually only surpassed myth due to the fact that myth, death, it looks more stronger. Not because they actually deserve it. This is the highest crit rating I ever got at the character right now, which is 708, or, yeah, 708. Sorry, I couldn't really say that number well. My science school, though, is about 373, which is not much, but it's good. And this is probably the most crit block I got, which is 612. Yes, a lot. A lot of big numbers, so you could, and some of you be assuming it's just based on luck. No, myth are kind of more built for it. My piercing is not the best, but that just forgive me for that. Yoko run, and then because mine is not a heal set, so number don't matter. What matters is the other numbers. This is 331 for pick conversion, not the highest. You already seen what the highest one I got, which is on my fire, but this is the higher one I got. Gold pip rating, this is one of my lower ones, which is 99, which is, that's due to like what I went with. And if my pet happens to get it at some point, off camera, yeah, this number will definitely be 100. Yeah, these are only years I would have gave it to me. And yeah, that's just it for that. So this is my deck. Be surprised that it's this deck I picked. I don't have the mounts that I got. This pet is the worst, so you already seen it. And I gotta get it away. It's embarrassing. And guess how I got most of my crit? I went with more of the tanky route. But to be fair, I did need a crit for healing, pretty much. So it kind of my damage had to be sacrificed to focus on healing. This is one of the few things that is not much of a sacrifice, but more like surprise. I would do this. And yes, I got this. Not proud of the fact that it's death crit block, but hey, if it gives me more stuff, then who cares? This is my weapon, which is kind of why mine's not that the best. But at least it got a lot of crit block to make up for the fact that I'm not exactly at par. And don't worry, it will change up eventually. Likewise, I might actually swap it very much. This is my boots, and yes, this is the inventor one. This is my robe, and there's just a bunch of stuff here. So, this will be the robe coming up at 170 anyways. Because my damage will go up, but I will be losing that life damage. But to be fair, it's been a while. This is my hat, pretty much. And here are the sets for my current one at the moment. So yes, I went more tanky route, which is as basically I'm going for a gift like this. So now it's time for you guys to see my tank side, which is that has heals. This is my healer tank, by the way. So no Kuba Gavin. Oh yeah, but forwards. Let me get to my attacks and one more time. This was at the moment. I can promise you it's never this small. I just happened to set my hand like that at the time. Usually have a lot more spells and heals in there. My tank set, though, it's not surprising, it's gonna be a lot of stills. And yes, I got the seagull, just haven't got the shadow pip one yet. Don't have time for it. I don't think so. Nope. And got enough time for it, so. And yes, this was High School is Life, with the art sites actually being Storm, which should be surprising to a lot of you. So yeah, this is more events in life than my Storm was. So yes, I even include the Storm. These shields will be the only things that I don't put the number to put in. So yeah, and this is just my hand basically. Real set. Yes, I include Grendel's events. And yes, if you're ready to see my before we get the stats, let's go over my gear. This is my hat. And yes, it does have bad juju. This is my robe, which is spooky carnival suit. This is my boots, which is jade boots. So yeah. This is my wand, which is at the moment it is my wand. But you'll see why I'm right now keeping this wand as opposed to getting rid of it. And yes, unfortunately, once again I got this and a theme. But you will see what that's up to. This is my amulet for this set. My ring is very obvious there. In fact, I need to check to see if there's any circle ones. Black spot, there. Why not? This is my pet. Yes, you're right. A 2-pip AoE life pet is my pet for heal cell on this character. And just look at what comes up with. Make us Fortify. Good. Make us Unicorn. Good. Make us Healing Current. Make us Fairy. And then there's Accuracy, which is something most of my characters never got. This is the only character that happens to get it. And the gem is about 5 gold pips, which you'll see eventually adds up. This is my deck at the moment, so this will be a replacement when I'm level 70. Yes, the replacement. If it's not obvious enough, now take a look here. Crit, crit rating is about just 55, not that much. This earns only from my wand and my deck. That's it. And then crit block rating is basically mostly comes from the robe. I'm going to take off my headphones for a bit, so I'm talking the rest of the time with my mic sideways or something like that. So 65 is from the jade boots, 30 is from the wand, 61 is from the amulet, and then 44 from the deck. And then 3 piercing from the altar of the wand. And then here's the healing stuff, which is healing income is about 56. And then outcome is about 45. Originally I said this wasn't my best, but I think I added it recently where it's more healing thing now. So if I change my thing though, it will surpass it. Surpass that number my fire had. But it would still be the better healing network overall. Because I'm doing multiple roles. This one's just, you'll see why I'm kind of like precautious a bit. So, so yes, my pick version would mean it's not the best. About just only this number. So basically, and then for gold pip chance is 80, which is not good, but it is better than getting 70%, which is, I don't know if anyone's gonna do that. It will impress me, so yeah. And yes, my robe is the only thing given this same shopping rating. Not great, not much. I think, of course, that's just base, so now we're on to this. And like I said, why not? And with this being a healing tank set, you might as well just add a little bit of damage for that moon school fit. It's the funny part. So I got 32% extra resistance, which is kind of like overall. And then 66 resistance across the board, which is because I do healing, so yeah, my gear is not going to be up to the best. My accuracy, though, is 13, which is more than my previous character had. So sorry for ignoring it, and this is about an hour and 8 minutes with the seconds of 47 seconds. So yeah, this character, I'm not gonna go lore at this point. Next time I'll do lore for the rest of the characters. I just felt like it was getting through the the stuff at this point. Lego gone. This is my balance. This is my other hitter, who actually was from male to female, pretty much. And I think a lot of people will be happy that I switched it to female because, one, I made one of the creepiest male faces. And how creepy it was to my mother, yeah. You can probably get the picture. And keep in mind, unlike my Myth, Storm, and Fire, who have 2 sets, this skirt just has 1. Just like my Ice and my Life. 1 set to work with. So, and this skirt doesn't take long much either. I don't really care how long this takes, I just need a video out. So, Kind of randomly organized, ain't it? So this is right now my damage, this is my damage yet. I'll get over it in a minute. About 184 for balance. I've done healing a lot more on my in career general than any other role, so my damage is not that surprising, but this is my best I got. Other than my life, this is my best I got. With 59 resistance, and you'd be surprised. Look at this Kidro Swift. Why did I consider my balance to be the hitter? It's basically based on damage. It wasn't based on resistance, otherwise I'd be in tank spot. And every time in tank spot, my experience went from good to bad. So yeah. I have about 59 resistance across the board, which is my best yet for resistance on attack set. Because normally, that's not the number you usually go for. And normally I would want my attack pets to have no resistance, because in certain cases, I don't need it. But in cases like my Storm and Fire, they do. They do need resistance. Because their schools suck at surviving, and the resistance is the only way they can be alive. So, and then there's 19% accuracy for balance, so, you know. My side school is myth, with the other one being fire. The most unsurprising I got to show why it's attacker, pretty much. My crit is about 697, which is not bad. It ain't gonna beat the record of my myth, but let's be honest, it's better than what's seen. Unfortunately, I don't have much of a myth stuff right now for balance to use. And unfortunately, the gems, to give myth a lot of damage, you have to be a Pacific school to use it, which just sucks. So, yeah, that's the only thing I got about that. Anyways, crit block is probably the best for attack set, because normally you don't get this much amount normally in an attack set. Let alone on balance. But I just happen to get good luck, and this is one of the better piercings I got. Not the best, but better than I had most of the time. Yes, I'm ignoring the Lalas right now. This is the highest I got for attack character. 950 for pip conversion. 110, the most amount of gold pip chance I got. I don't think any kid is gonna beat any kid. None of mine are gonna beat that. This is about, yeah. And yes, pretty much. Now, before I go over my gear, I am gonna now tend to these guys. I didn't tend to it before, but I gotta tend to it now. Any more left in dailies? Nope. However, I can put some mushrooms around. Oh wait, I'm muted the entire time, am I? Oh man, all goofy me. I didn't even realize I was muted the entire time. I am so sorry. Okay, yeah, that was a big mistake. Next time, oh man. Yeah, but unfortunately, guys, yes, for an hour in recording, no sound. To be honest, I am so sorry. I didn't even realize it until now. Man, this is going to be an embarrassing book. If I know how to edit, I would like, what's the background music? Mention like, how long does it take for this YouTuber to even realize that it's muted? Now, let's go over my gear finally. And sorry, I didn't even mention much about my gear. It's because I kind of forgot to unmute myself. So yeah, now, it's the first time you're hearing me talk. And say, oh man, this is embarrassing. Not sure what everyone else is gonna say. I'm like, you kidding me? And yeah, at this point, I think most people would have been off the video anyways. Hey, anyways, this is my balance damage deck. This is unfortunately my damage for. This is my pet. Yeah. You can see the problem is the make house unicorn, and that's unfortunately curse a balance gets. No matter what, there's always gonna be that one pet anyways. But since I am only an attacker, I only need like step two other attack, so I need the two more attack pets. That's just it. This is my ring for balance for damage. This is my amulet. I hate those spells are the most overrated ones I ever seen. That's so useless to be honest. This is my theme. This is my wand. And yeah, this is embarrassing. This is my robe. This is my hat, and you can probably bet I will get better damage eventually. Just not right now. And sorry for embarrassing you guys in front of myself. I will remember to keep in mind to check my mic next time. Ay, ay, ay. Why did I do that? Now, yes, we'll go over again. Yes, this is my myth, who is a healer tank. This is my fire, who is a prepper, healer, tank, attacker, balance, type of fire. This is my support, storm, which is prepper and healer, who is a support. This is my attacker life, who we will get on right now. And yeah, and stats you saw earlier, yeah, that's one thing I did show. These stats and where it came from. Which sadly won't I think most of my voices weren't there. And this is about an hour and 19 minutes, that's about to turn into 1 hour and 20 minutes. Which is just turned just now, so I'm keeping account of the numbers, so I gotta eventually delete this video when I posted it. So when it's finally posted, that's when I'll delete it. So yes, I'm gonna grab the elders first, and then focus on talking about stats a bit. This is my life hit set. This is my only set on my life, and yes, I got plenty of points this time around. So I got, and my side schools are death and ice, with my side school mainly being ice. Which should be surprising to a lot of people, like, how's a hitter side schools be death and ice? Well, death isn't something Life is one to listen to normally, so Death happens to be motivating to make them hit. While Ice is just make the life usually tanky, but in the case of like my life, it's not very tanky. But yeah, I'll have to explain every lore, because the entire lore just went out the window after I realized my mic was muted the entire time. So yeah. So yeah, now I gotta put my pain in the butt effort in telling the lore of each character on mine now. So, and yes, that's just crit block, not crit block, crit rating. The crit block is about 514. We aren't all that's the most, but that's the most for our damage for just my attacker character yet. This is one of my lower piercing characters, so yeah. This character is more good at straight up being damaged rather than aiming at resistance. I have a little bit of stun resistance. And my pip conversion is about 706. My gold pip rating is about 108. And yeah, those are just there. Yada yada. My damage is 180 on life. It may not sound like a lot to you guys because you guys are storming fires usually over there. Just going like, that's nothing. For life, that's a lot. That's a lot of damage. Because they don't give in that position very often, despite the fact they're very OP. And a lot of people underrate this skill because they assume it's only good for healing. Anyways, this is about 52 resistance, which is, I know it could have reminded you guys of my balance, but the difference was, route this character was in, wasn't the most resistant in general, luckily it wasn't. And then the accuracy is about 19. So it means it don't matter, I won't fizzle unless there is a fizzle thing on me. Otherwise, no fizzling for me. Now I gotta replant those alligator trees. So you'll have to give me a sec and let me replant my plants. Of course. My life, come on. You hear me? I'll worry about replanting later. At the moment, without further we are into the video, I gotta tend the plants now. At least one of the plants. I'll go tend everything else later on. I'll just get through the gear and that's it. I'll do the gardening offline. So, don't even worry. Okay? My ice is next, which is, I only have one set, so here's mine. This is my worst. This is just my worst character in general, due to how bad it is at tanking, and also the fact this ice can't even tank. It can only prep and hit. That was it. It's prepper and a hitter. That is it. It cannot tank. So yes, this is my damage right now. About 700, not 700. Brain fart moment, and 176. So yes, I got a lot of damage from Sunmaker. Here's my 180, so my damage is up higher now. My resistance is about 42 across the board. Which sounds like a lot for storms, It's so little for ice. So yes, it's kinda why I never consider my ice being a tank. This resistance is so bad. Like, come on, this is bad. This is considered unbelievably bad, anyways. My accuracy is about 21, which is pretty good for ice. My crit's about 621, which is pretty good for ice. My crit block is not surprising though you're a hint, which is 642 across the board. My piercing is the best ice can get, which is 200, not 200, 240, not, I messed up words, 24. You're more going to say grammar police on me. Go ahead. Okay. Now resistance, the crit block, not crit block, stun resistance. Man, I'm out of it today. 696 on pip conversion. 103 gold pip. And yeah, that's the numbers. Yada yada. You'd be surprised I turned a fire pad into an ice attack pad, so yeah. Boom. Wacko. And yes, this came from my balance. If you haven't guessed the obvious by now, the fact that it has Maycast Unicorn. That came from my balance. My balance originally had this pet. This was a myth pet having turned into balance. So you can probably guess I turned my fire pet into an ice pet. So I'm turning this into a storm pet. Or this would have been already a storm pet. I'm turning on this one at the moment, so yeah, and I'm not going to over gear stuff yet because I don't care about it at the moment. And I don't want to waste space on my laptop, so I got to get this through. Now we're on to my final character, who has two sets, which is, and has the longest garden I got. A lot of mouthful. We'll go visit this person real quick. This is my deaf character whose side tools are fire and myth, I think. Yeah, basically, it's gonna reverse though. My crit on my death on attack set is 604. My crit block is about 659. My piercing is pretty good, which is 22. My pip conversion is about 792. My gold pip is about 99, which is I need to change that eventually. So now my damage is 180. It originally was a different number, but it's now 180, same number my life has. That's not, and this critter's not level 70 yet, so you can probably guess it would have more damage at level 70. This is my resistance, which is 61, which is good, very good. This is my tank prepper character. Not a heal character, but a prepping character. So, and my accuracy is about 18, pretty decent. So this is just my attack set. Now I gotta get to my prep set, which is 2 damage on ice. Yeah, that's just a 69 resistance across the board. I originally had about 80 something, but it kind of decreased. They kind of nerfed the gear at some point, I guess. The accuracy is about 15%, maybe not 15%, 15 across the board. My crit is about 85, with death being 148. My crit block is not the greatest, considering I'm a tank. About 260 across the board, with fire being 290. And then you could probably say that's my lowest when it comes to heals. But keep in mind, it's my prepper, not my heal. So I'll make a different video on what each of my gear comes from and what deck I happen to use. I'll do that next time. Right now, I don't care about it. I'm right now going showing you stats in total up. This is gear purchase about 549 for death, and other pip conversions about 84. This one's gold pip is 83%, which is even lower. But anyways, see you guys later. Bye, and sorry for an hour of muted. Bye.